Welcome to Typically Unique. I'm Kim Aponte, and I'm here with my husband, Carlos.
Hello.
On today's episode, we're going to share with you some of the care that we provided to Ayden as he started to deal with some issues being in the hospital for a long time and going through his treatments, and some of the side effects that he started to endure, and even probably unknown little unique inconvenience that patients who have to stay in the hospital for a long time might have to deal with.
Right. But I think some of the things that we ended the last episode on were how are we providing comfort for Ayden? Now, remember, we're not experts at this, right? We are brand new to this. We're learning as we go. Super credit to Kim. She really took a lot of time, did a lot of research about what we were getting into, both, online videos, just reading books and posts and everything that she could, get her hands on.
I tried.
A lot. So, and I think we talked about in an earlier episode as well that we were able to speak the language a little bit better, just because we had a little bit of knowledge of maybe what some of the doctors and nurses and support staff would be talking about. So for us, we had to spend a lot of time trying to provide comfort for Ayden. We also realized that Ayden has a lot of quirks, right? So your typical
like sensitivities.
Sensitivity issues. But anything that was, a typical patient and how you would do things, Ayden didn't fit in that mold. He had a lot of little sensitivity issues or just little quirks about him that we had to advocate for that would make these treatments and things a little bit better.
Right. And we just kind of found, we discovered them as they came up because we didn't know until it happened. So one of the things would be, for some reason, first of all, he had that Broviac catheter. So I wanted to explain a little bit more of what that means, because that was a serious surgery so he didn't have to have the IV because they were going to be pumping really harsh, chemo treatments into his body, and they needed to have more than one line. So his was a double, and it goes right into your chest. So he had these two tubes, I don't know if you can see, right in his chest. And he was I think he was slunched over, it was very sensitive to him. He was very concerned about it, very uncomfortable. And
because of his sensory issues, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, they have to clean it and change the bandage regularly. And any kind of, he was able to wear his normal clothing once we were in the hospital for a while. So T-shirts and things like that. And every one of his T-shirts that he had at that time, I just remember cutting it. And I think it was the sleeves. I had to cut the sleeves off. And I think it was because they were, taking his blood pressure all the time and things like that. But the shifting of the shirt and it rubbing against the Broviac line. So just things like that we discovered. So if it meant cutting the T-shirts, we cut the T-shirts.
And an example of that was, I know that one time he had skinned his knee, right? And I wasn't home at the time, but you told me about it a little bit later. But this is when he was younger, right?
This was funny.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, he fell down, skinned his knee. He's probably 2-3 years old. But my mother-in-law puts a Band-Aid on it. But not only that, he comes home with a giant safety pin pulling up the edge of his shorts up to, mid-thigh level so that nothing touched the bandage. So that's where we're coming from.
Yeah.
We were coming from with that. So
yeah, super a lot, a whole bunch of sensory issues that we even had him treated for with some physical therapy, kind of early on. He did some sensory things. Yeah. So yeah, we cut off the sleeves, things like that. Also, something as small as eye drops. he could not take an eye drop directly into the eye. And, the nurses were really like, well,
it's
you
just
have
eye drops.
Yeah, it's just eye drop. It's not going to hurt you. But because of his sensory issues, he just did not like that. And he would really fight against. I mean, it would be an ordeal just to get eye drops. So we finally came to a compromise where he could keep his eye closed. They would put a couple drops right near the tear duct, and then he would open his eye and let the medicine blink it in. I mean, that's what it took for us to get him to take eye drops. Otherwise, he was completely defiant. So those are things that a few example of some things that we would add to his chart later on, because someone new would come in on night shift and say, "Oh, he needs some eye drops," and try to hold open his eye to give him an eye drop, and we're like, we can't do that with him, and here, read his chart, because here's how we kind of do some things for him to just keep the comfort level and the anxiety level down a little bit.
Right.
Any other examples?
Not that I can think of right now, but I mean, we're still at the beginning of this, so we're starting to uncover all these things, and they're going to build as we go. But we're at the time now where, speaking of sensory issues, when you start to lose your hair, and that doesn't just happen all at once. It's a slow process, so that can be very agitating. So we have journal entries about that. So this was at the end of September, like around September 29th, September 30th. I wrote, today, and this is from... I'm not sure which one of us wrote this. Today, Ayden and I settled back into our man cave, so it's Carlos, after Kim left to go back to Ashtabula. We played a few video games, and then the physical therapist walked into the room. It was go time. Ayden actually put on a t-shirt and prepared for his workout. They worked Ayden pretty hard for about 20 minutes. 2 minutes after the therapist walked out the door, Ayden threw up like a drunk on Division Street. That's for my Chicago friends. Ayden settled in and rested the remainder of the afternoon. In closing, I noticed that Ayden had been slightly pulling on his hair and checking his hand. Everyone keeps mentioning hair loss, and I think he is worried about it. Out of everything he is going through, I see worry in his face about that, or about his hair. Maybe we will talk about this tomorrow. So Carlos had wrote that. And then the next one, it says, well, Ayden is down in the game room watching football on the big screen. He is becoming a night owl and throwing us off our schedule. I thought tonight I'd write my journal, and then I'll come back and update with Ayden's. Ayden has been free from the IV machine just about all day. It only took him 20 minutes to get platelets because his counts were down. Ayden had been able to drink his fluids, so he doesn't need to get the saline or whatever it is through the IV. The doctors seem kind of surprised that Ayden is able to drink all he has, so that's great. I think Ayden is doing very well. The biggest pain right now is all of the shedding hair. It is everywhere. Even I am starting to itch. Ayden keeps his hat on 24/7 and is making the adjustment to this new look. It can't be easy, and I feel bad for him. But it is only hair, and it will grow back. But even though Ayden knows that, and we all understand that, it is sad. So we all get sad about it. And like Ayden would say, that angers me. And we move on. So that was the second entry about that. And then here is a third. And this one was titled Nurse's Station. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's down. September 5th. Ayden hasn't been into doing his journal the past few days. I'm sure Dad will get him back into it when he is here for the next couple days. The journal and setting the daily goals are two things I can't keep him doing. Ayden's counts were low again today, so they gave him more platelets. That's what they are doing right now, taking his blood, reading the counts, and giving him blood products when needed. Ayden has to drink 1 liter of fluids every 8 hours to stay off the IV, and so far, so good. They just hook him up for fluids during the night. Today, one of the nurses asked me if I have a medical background because she overheard my discussion with the doctors during rounds today. I guess I've just been doing this long enough, and I do read the information they give us, So the rest is putting two and two together and asking questions when you don't understand. I know sometimes when I do this, it is annoying to Ayden, but I feel better when I know what is going on and that I trust that the right things are going on. I'm so glad I have spent the past 4 nights up here with Ayden. We have really had some good moments. I helped get the internet set up on the TV and the PSP Go, which got me a lot of points. I have been changing the sheets a lot because the hair is still everywhere. Today, Ayden asked for someone to shave his head. But of course, it is Sunday on a holiday weekend, so he will have to wait another day and a half. I think they should just shave everyone's head as part of the treatment. That part is not fun and very annoying. Just ask Ayden.
Yeah, so it was probably like Memorial Day weekend or something like that. And I think that Tuesday we finally got some clippers and were able to shave his head. And even though he didn't so much like that either, he just wanted it done with because it was a few days of this shedding of the hair that he was just getting really annoyed with. And I think he just wanted it to be over.
Yeah, it was too bad that the timing of that fell the way it was. But you had to end up being the person to do it.
Yeah,
and that was not, I remember that was not a good experience for him. He did not appreciate that.
No, he didn't. And, I think kind of the situation where you're holding him down when they were trying to give him, a thing. And I think in that instance, I would have probably been a little bit more gentle with the shaving of his head than maybe, some staff person just doing it and, hey, let me get this out. So I think in that instance, maybe that's a place where we could step in, and be the person, maybe because we could just do it a little bit better than, somebody who wasn't related to him.
I just remember because that's such a sad thing that really hit you. That was like, And it's not just the hair on your head. He lost his eyebrows, and he was just really self-conscious about it. Like Kim mentioned before, he would always wear a hat and he would keep the hat down, way almost to his eyebrows, really pushing it down to cover all that. So, I felt bad, but, so we started talking about all these things, with Ayden and, maybe there's some special circumstances or special things that we could do to maybe help in his comfort. One thing we noticed about Ayden, especially during the Bruton's time, is that occasionally he would get a nosebleed, right? So he would get a nosebleed and we kind of, Kim had a pretty decent method on how to handle the nosebleed. I was a little less attentive to that. So no, we got it down because the first time it happened, it was a pretty bad one. So we learned how to try to contain them.
So during the Bruton's time, when Kim was experiencing these nosebleeds, she figured out, a pretty good system. She figured out a pretty good system. I was a little less attentive to that. So Kim's going to read some stuff and we'll talk about maybe how that carried over into this leukemia AML situation.
Right. So Ayden had such a great day yesterday that we were confident he would do just fine this round of chemo. Last night at 1 a.m., Ayden was yelling my name from the bathroom. I get up and there was blood everywhere. Ayden started vomiting blood and had a bloody nose that would not stop. This went on for an hour. I thought he was going to lose all of his blood because his platelets are usually low. I never seen anything like that before, and it must have shown on my face because Ayden started freaking out. Ayden even started screaming for a blood platelet infusion. Once I figured out what would make Ayden comfortable, he started to relax. The blood slowed down and he stopped throwing up. As Ayden laid down to go back to sleep, he turned to me with half a smile and said, "Dad, that was a bloodbath."
So let me tell the longer story to that. That was my Caring Bridge post, I think the day after this event happened. It was, I kind of start from the beginning. So it's late at night, sleeping, and I thought I heard Ayden like either dry heaving or throwing up. And then I remember him calling my name, which really got me up out of bed and into the bathroom to see what was going on. And literally when I walked in, there was blood in the sink, just like the white porcelain sink was red, and again, I didn't pay attention during the how to stop a bloody nose training that happened in the Aponte household.
This sounded like way more than that, though.
Yeah. So, but I did know enough to, get him to the bed, get a towel, a small washcloth, had it over his nose. He was actually pinching his nose.
He knew a little bit of what.
Yeah, he knew what to do. And immediately as we got him to the bed, called the nurse's station or hit the nurse's button, right? In a panic, like I'm over hitting it. So immediately that towelette or that washcloth gets red, right? The nurse comes in pretty quickly. She comes in and she sees and runs to the bathroom, grabs another towel, runs some water on it, and brings it over to Ayden. So I didn't add water when I did it. I just grabbed a towel and told him, pinch his nose. But the nurse ran some water, came over, had him pinch his nose and hold his head back. And and she says, hold that on there, keep that on there. I'll be back. So she leaves. So I think, oh, this is going to be fine, because we had a medical professional come in and, apply treatment. Unfortunately,
I can't believe I wouldn't have let her leave.
Well, I didn't pay attention during the training that happened a few years prior. So I thought this was going to be good. Unfortunately, because Ayden was holding his head back and holding his nose and the towel was filling with blood, he starts heaving again, right? He's starting to throw up. He's even dry heaving at this time. He's really starting to get panicked. I'm getting panicked, because the towel, this wet towel is now red. So I hit the nurse's button again, numerous times. I'm going crazy. At that point, what are they called?
Like a PCA, like a patient care assistant.
Patient care assistant. So not a nurse, not,
right.
But
they do like the vitals,
yeah,
weight, blood pressure, things like that.
Yeah. So this PCA, is that what it? Okay. This PCA comes in, someone that I had not seen in the 2 weeks, that we had been there, never seen this person. Again, it's 2 a.m, so I was probably sleeping, but never seen this person. And in the time since, never saw them again. But
it's the craziest thing.
Yeah. And
the craziest thing.
And it was funny for weeks afterwards. I'd be like, I can't wait to introduce you to this PCA that came in and helped. And they never returned. No. So this PCA comes in and both Ayden and I failed miserably. And I was panicked. Ayden was panicked because he took this, because the PCA wanted to see, she took the towel off his nose and literal blobs of blood would pop out.
Sorry for the
the graphic descriptions here. Warning.
Yeah.
But clots of blood would come out and then a stream of blood. So it wasn't like dribble. It was like someone turned the faucet on. So there's blood all around us, blood all over him, blood everywhere. This PCA says, this towel's warm, and in just a calm voice, calm demeanor, walks to the bathroom, grabs another washcloth, makes it really cold, says, here, hold this on your nose, pinch your nose, and lean forward on the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
Right? So he's pinching his nose, cold washcloth. She walks out, grabs some ice, comes back in, and she is prepping a second washcloth, a wet washcloth in ice to make it cold. During this whole time when she came back in the room, now nurses, nobody else came in. It's just me and Ayden in this mysterious PCA. And the whole time she's in a soft, monotone voice is saying, I used to take care of my grandmother when she had a bloody nose and, and you need to use something cold and lean forward. And I was just amazed within a couple minutes, that was it, right? Blood, stopped. She got everything cleaned up, like all the blood in the bathroom, the bed, changed sheets, changed Ayden, laid in bed. He actually relaxed.
But it seemed like you were describing her as like this like angel that came in and saved the day and then disappeared. Like,
never saw her again. So we did have a few incidents of bloody nose.
And the nurses did end up coming back in.
Yeah.
They did come back.
And I probably wasn't as loving as I typically am when they come back in the room, but I was like, why did we do this when this person did this? But but we have a couple more instances of maybe bloody nose and where that ended up.
Well, then when I catch wind of this, because I think he must have posted like during the night or super early, but then I get up and I see his post. So I wrote, okay, that was not the news I wanted to wake up to hear. Ayden has gotten really bad bloody noses since he was about 3 or 4. I remember the first time it happened. It was probably second to what happened last night. They come out of nowhere and just don't stop. Not having the platelets to clot it just made it so much worse. We will have to make sure we are checking on his platelet counts. I'm sorry that happened, Ayden. I know it was scary, but I'm proud of you for doing the right things. And I'm proud of Daddy for staying calm and getting you through it. Good job, Dad. Get some rest today. I'll see you in a few hours. I love you. And then this other one. Ayden had a fun weekend with Grandma Aponte at the hospital, and all went pretty smoothly until Carlos got a call that he was having another gusher of a nosebleed. They get it stopped, and then the ear, nose, throat team came in and started poking around and made him get another one. These are the little things that would like set me off about. That's why I asked so many questions, and I watched everybody like a hawk. These are the reasons why. And I kind of recommend doing that too. So they came in, he gets another one. Ayden kicked all the doctors out of the room. And then I put in parentheses, I don't know where he gets that from. And they got that one stopped too. They had to give him an anti-nausea medicine in his IV and a clotting medicine. Carlos got up there this evening and they were having a relaxing evening and going to bed early. I hope Ayden wakes up well rested and has a better day and better days ahead. And I don't remember for this instance why we had my mother-in-law go up there. She would end up going there quite often as we got further into this to give us a break, or if we were sick and we couldn't be there, we needed someone else to be there. This was probably give us a night at home together, so we could spend some time together. But to have her go through this, I felt horrible that happened.
Yeah, and I guess to put a bow on the the whole bloody
saga.
nose. So what ended up happening is they ended up taking him to surgery and cauterizing.
Yeah, and we kind of went through phases though, because their first course of action was, we'll just keep up with the platelet infusions.
And ointments and all that stuff. But the actual fix.
The fix
was
cauterizing it, which was another kind of minor surgery that he had to go through during this time. So when we're talking about like side effects, you're expecting like the hair loss, but then side effects that you have no idea are coming because they come from these other things that just are not typical.
Right. So those were some of the, the major things, but we did have small annoyances as well. And lucky for me, I didn't get to experience it this often.
I was the lucky one.
But Kim was the lucky one.
So, if you ever have to spend long stays in the hospital like we did, they will change your room many times during your stay and with no notice. So that was our, annoyance that a lot of people don't know about, but here's my memory. Well, I'm back at the hospital with Ayden, and I don't know what it is with this place, but this is the second time I've worked all day, and then when I come up to spend the night at the hospital, they made us move rooms. We are now in room 506, our third room. It took me and Ayden until midnight to get situated, but we did it, and we did it together. Tonight before Carlos left, the nurse came in to take Ayden's vitals, and Carlos and Ayden have been making a betting game out of it. I told you they did these. He always found a way to make things fun. They try to guess what Ayden's temperature, blood pressure, heart rate, and blood oxygen levels are. The nurse was cracking up. She said she has never had anyone make a game out of it before. After Ayden and I unpacked all of our stuff in our new room, we sat down together on the couch and watched a video that Miss Catano at the junior high made for Ayden. Miss Catano gave one of Ayden's friends a flip video cam to record some of Ayden's classes. That was awesome. It was a fun day in the life of a junior high school. All of the kids were saying hello to Ayden, and his teachers sent him messages. Miss Catano even taped part of a football game. Right now, Ayden is recording his goals for tomorrow on our whiteboard. I think having daily goals is awesome. He is writing a personal goal and medical goal every day. It looks like we will be working some more on the room tomorrow because his personal goal says, set up room. Well, at least we have a plan. Good night, everyone. I'm exhausted. So that was so amazing that his school did that for him, too. Like, they were so good. They did so many wonderful things. On this day, we moved. Oh, I'm just recapping on it. We moved to our third room on Thursday night. We are now in room 506 in the B pod. It is like moving from the country to the city. So when we were first admitted, we said we were way in the back. The nurses would call it the backyard because it was really removed from any of the action. So since we had been there for a while, I kind of liked now being where the action was. Our first two rooms were way in the back and very secluded from all the action. Now our room is right across from the nurses' station. I will post a picture later of the nurses' station. Our new room had painted windows and stickers on the windows from previous patients. So our goal today was to decorate the windows the way we would like them. We went with the Lakeside Dragon number 50 design. Too bad our yellow marker ran out. I like the yellow lettering around the green. We have one window completed, and that window looks out at the nurses' station. We still have one more window to do, and I will post a picture when it finished. And those little things took time, occupied us. So that's one of the reasons why I recommend doing as many of those kinds of little projects and things as you can, just to pass some time and do something nice and fun together. But I can't even remember how many times I worked all day, drove an hour to the hospital, get up there exhausted, get relaxed, and then they're like, you're moving rooms. They just come in and say, pack it up, you're moving. And it's such an ordeal.
Sometimes it was just, geography to maybe put us in a different wing with similar type of patients, or maybe to accommodate rounds, or someone left, and they wanted to do a deep clean to a certain room. And other times we would have folks above us, plug their sinks or their bathtubs, and that water would run
there
into
were floods.
Yes. And that happened to us a few times. We actually had the
rooms.
director of the hospital come in and talk to us a couple times, because it literally happened like 2 or 3 times in a month.
Oh, yes.
And we're like, why do you have that floor
above our floor?
Yeah, of our floor. So
there was a lot of things that I think, like when we talk about changing the system and things like that, just automatically set up when you're going to shave some, or give the option. Would you like a scheduled time to have your head shaved for that? That would be nice. Let patients know of at least a few hours. Hey, we're going to have you moving rooms. When you find out, could you let the patients find out? Just little things like that. I would try to point those out when I could to people, but I think those are some good ideas. So this episode was mostly about these side effects. I know it was a little gruesome and rough, but that's the way it was. These were not fun times, and
these aren't the worst stories, but
these are not the worst yet. But they're horrific sometimes and terrifying, but you get through them. You get through them. So in the next episode, we want to share some of the more heartwarming, maybe some fun stories we have, because there are some really special people that work at these children's hospitals, especially, you know, we were at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital, and they are world class. Like,
Right.
and some of the resources that they have for these kids and the things that they do for these kids and the whole family they're just amazing. So we want to share that.
Yeah, just maybe share, you know, this is probably a little morbid, unfortunately, but we want to share some good experiences. Maybe sometimes, you know, there wasn't a lot of laughter up there, but we tried to find ways to laugh. We tried to find ways to make a little bit of fun out of something that was just super depressing, you know, with a lot of people that are around us. So,
and they promote that too. You know, they try to keep spirits uplifted there. So we will share that on our next episode, and we hope you join back with us for that. Bye.